Let me know when you can see the screen.
Hare Krishna, bro, we can see.
Okay, wonderful. Let me know when you can see the screen.
Yes, Prabhu, you can see.
Okay, so now making it work along with both of. Okay. I'm trying to get back to Zoom. Okay. So weird. When I share, then I don't see anything on my screen. Okay. Okay. So thank you all for joining. We are going to read and discuss some of these wonderful prayers by Bhismadeva in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, starting from text 18. So this first set of prayers, they are more like a conversation between Bhishma and Yudhishthir after giving him instructions on how to be a Kshatriya, how to be a good king, Raja Dharma, Kul Dharma, and many other dharmas. Vishnudev gives him instructions. And now, at the end of it, he is concluding his instructions from text 18, and then later on, he will recite his prayers to Lord Krishna. So that's his conversation with Lord Krishna, Bhishmastuti, conversation with Yudhishthir. And this is also very deep and instructive. And we can think that actually Vishnudev is speaking to all of us because these instructions are very relevant. This section of Bhagavatam is please mute yourself. Okay. So this section of Bhagavatam is very special because this is the section where we see the passing away of a great soul. Bhagavatam is filled with stories of great souls going through great difficulties and then leaving this world in a very wonderful way. The very first personality that comes into light is Parikshit Maharaj. And the whole Bhagavatam was spoken because he was going to pass away in a very dramatic way, very unique way, and that too out of a curse. So passing away of Maharaj Parikshit is the fruit of that is this wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam that was spoken. And the next one, the very first incidents that comes up in Bhagavatam of another great soul passing away is the passing away of Bhismadeva. And this one is very unique also because here Bhismadeva is dying in a very unique circumstance. Maharaj Parikshit was cursed to die in 7 days because of a curse, and his days were fixed. He only had 7 days. Whereas with Bhismadeva, he has the boon of dying at his will, so he can leave at any time. But how he leaves the body is a lot of lessons to learn from that. And we'll see where he is at, what his consciousness is at, what he's desiring at the time of his death. And that is what we want to follow. We want to prepare our life, our consciousness while we are living to follow in the footsteps of these great personalities. We have another great story of how Maharaj Dhruv leaves the body. another wonderful example of what consciousness to be in, how to prepare to reach that stage where Maharaj Dhruv walks over the head of death personified and leaves this body. Then we have the glorious passing away of Vritasur, who's passing away again in a very unique circumstance where he's fighting with Indra, and then Indra cuts his head with this Vajra weapon. It takes him 1 year to cut his head. That's another great passing away of a great devotee. And his consciousness and his prayers are also very unique. So, like this, we can see, we can learn from these great devotees how to prepare a consciousness. So, here we'll start with these few prayers, and I'll recite them, and then you can recite them with me. एषवे भगवान् साक्षात् आद्यो नारायण पुमान् मोहयन्मायया लोकम् गूढश्चरति विष्णुषु. This Sri Krishna is no other than inconceivable original personality of Godhead. He is the first Narayan, the supreme enjoyer, but he is moving amongst the descendants of King Vrishni, just like one of us, and he is bewildering us with his self-created energy. I won't read the purports because otherwise it will take a long time to finish these prayers. Text 19. Asyanubhavam Bhagavan Vedaguhyatamam Shiva Devarishi Narada Sakshat Bhagavan Kapilo Nipa. O King, Lord Shiva, Narada, the sage amongst the demigods, and Kapila, the incarnation of Godhead, all know very confidentially about his glories through direct contact. Text 20. This is one of my favorite verses. Yam manyase matuleyam priyam mitram suhitamam akaro sachivam dutam sohidadath sarathi. O King, that personality whom out of ignorance only you thought to be your maternal cousin, your very dear friend, well-wisher, counselor, messenger, benefactor, etc., is that very personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Text 21. Sarvatmana samadrisho yadvayasya nanankrite tatkritam ativeshamyam nirvadyasya na kvachit. Being the absolute personality of Godhead, he is present in everyone's heart. He is equally kind to everyone, and he is free from the false ego of differentiation. Therefore, whatever he does is free from material inebriety. He is equibalanced. Text 22. Tathapi ekant bhakteshu pasya bhupanukampitam yanme asum stajata sakshat Krishna darshanamagata. Yet despite his being equally kind to everyone, he has graciously come before me while I am ending my life, for I am his unflinching servitor. Text 23. Bhaktyaveshya mano yasmin vachayannam kirtayan tajan kalevaram yogi muchyate kama karmabhi. The personality of Godhead who appears in the mind of the devotee by attentive devotion and meditation and by chanting of the holy name releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities at the time of his quitting the material body. Text 24. Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshataam Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham Prasanna Sarunalochano Lasan Mukhambujo Dhyana Pathaschaturbujaha. May my Lord, who is four-handed and whose beautifully decorated lotus face, with eyes as red as the rising sun, is smiling, kindly await me at that moment when I quit this material body. So we'll go back to text 18 and read the purport to get the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Vedic system of acquiring knowledge is the deductive process. The Vedic knowledge is received perfectly by disciplic succession from authorities. Such knowledge is never dogmatic, as ill-conceived by less intelligent persons. The mother is the authority to verify the identity of the father. She is the authority for such confidential knowledge. Therefore, authority is not dogmatic. In the Bhagavad Gita, this truth is confirmed in the second verse of the fourth chapter, and the perfect system of learning is to receive it from authority. The very same system is accepted universally as truth, but only the false arguer speaks against it. For example, modern spacecraft fly in the sky, and when scientists say that they travel to the other side of the moon, men believe these stories blindly because they have accepted the modern scientists as authorities. The authorities speak, and the people in general believe them. But in the case of Vedic truths, they have been taught not to believe. Even if they accept them, they give a different interpretation. Each and every man wants a direct perception of Vedic knowledge, but foolishly they deny it. This means that the misguided man can believe one authority, the scientist, but will reject the authority of the Vedas. The result is that people have degenerated. Here is an authority speaking about Sri Krishna as the original personality of Godhead and the first Narayan. Even such an impersonalist as Acharya Shankara has said in the beginning of his commentation on the Bhagavad Gita that Narayan, the personality of Godhead, is beyond the material creation. The universe is one of the material creations, but Narayan is transcendental to such material paraphernalia. Bhismadeva is one of the 12 Mahajans who know the principles of transcendental knowledge. His confirmation of Lord Shri Krishna as being the original personality of Godhead is also corroborated by the impersonalist Shankara. All other acharyas have also confirmed this statement, and thus there is no chance of not accepting Lord Shri Krishna as the original personality of Godhead. Bhishmadev says that he is the first Narayan. This is also confirmed by Brahmaji in the Bhagavatam 10:14-14. Krishna is the first Narayan. In the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, there are unlimited numbers of Narayans who are all the same personality of Godhead and are considered to be the plenary expansions of the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. The first form of the Lord Shri Krishna first expands himself as the form of Baladev, and Baladev expands in so many other forms, such as Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudev, Narayan, Purusha, Rama, and Narasimha. All these expansions are one and the same Vishnu Tattva, and Shri Krishna is the original source of all the plenary expansions. He is therefore the direct personality of Godhead. He is the creator of the material world, and he is the predominating deity known as Narayan in all the Vaikuntha planets. Therefore, his movements amongst human beings are another sort of bewilderment. The Lord therefore says in Bhagavad Gita that foolish persons consider him to be one of the human beings without knowing the intricacies of his movements. The bewilderment regarding Shri Krishna is due to the action of his twofold internal and external energies upon the third one called marginal energy. The living entities are expansions of his marginal energy, and thus they are sometimes bewildered by the internal energy and sometimes by the external energy. By internal energetic bewilderment, Shri Krishna expands himself into unlimited numbers of Narayans and exchanges or accepts transcendental loving service from the living entities in the transcendental world. And by his external energetic expansions, he incarnates himself in the material world amongst the man, animals, or demigods to re-establish his forgotten relation with the living entities in different species of life. Great authorities like Bhishma, however, escape his bewilderment by the mercy of the Lord. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Niyana Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. So please read these purports again and again, as these purports of Prabhupada are just majestic and magical. So here, Bhishmadev is introducing Maharaj Yudhishthir to a great reality. It's very rare to find somebody who can introduce us to the highest reality, to the highest absolute truth. Maharaj Yudhishthir has gone through a tremendous amount of suffering and mental uh, torture, mental bewilderment. Arjuna, at the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra, did not want to fight precisely for this reason, because he did not want to be uh, the instrument of so many people dying. This is what he was fearing, the burden of killing so many people. But actually, Maharaj Yudhishthir is actually the person who's felt it. Arjuna anticipated this tragedy, but Maharaj Yudhishthir is bearing the full brunt of this tragedy. And as a result, he goes into this deep depression he's not able to come out of. And nobody is able to convince him, including Vyasadeva and Krishna. So Krishna finally arranges for him to hear from Maharaj Bhismadeva, because he knows that Bhishma is the only person who can convince him. So Bhishma, after concluding his discussion and discourse on different dharmas and how Maharaj Yudhishthira should run the kingdom, because Yudhishthira said after the battle of Kurukshetra that I'm not going to become the king. I'm not going to rule the kingdom at all. He just raised his hand and just gave up. And one of the objectives of Lord Krishna was to install Maharaj Yudhishthira and the Pandavas in ruling the earth. So if Yudhishthira doesn't agree, none of his other brothers would agree. They would not overstep Yudhishthira and say, okay, I'll become the king and rule the kingdom. So the whole plan of Lord Krishna would fail to reestablish dharma and to reestablish the saintly devotees as the rulers of the world. So Lord Krishna had no recourse other than to bring Maharaj Yudhishthira in front of Bhismadeva. And this is what is being accomplished. So, and Bhismadeva, what is he doing? He's basically convincing Maharaj Yudhishthira that you have a greater purpose. You are most fortunate because you are personally guided by the greatest personality, the Supreme Lord himself. And therefore, you have no concern. You should not be worried about anything. So in this verse, he's introducing, and when this discourse is going on, just like when Maharaj Parikshit will in the future give up the body, all the great personalities of the world, of the universe, will assemble. So similarly, here also, all the great personalities, all the great sages are watching this conversation happening between Yudhishthira and Parikshit and Bhishma. So in front of everybody, Bhishma is directly introducing Krishna. He's saying, Eshave Bhagavan Sakshad. He's pointing to Lord Krishna and saying, this is Sakshat, means original. But Sakshat also means right in front of you, right in front of your eyes. Oh Maharaj Yudhishthira, look, this is Bhagavan, Sakshat. And this is very important. Prabhupada makes the point that how do we know who is God? We cannot know who is God unless a great Mahajan, who is the knower of God, introduces us to God. And that is a system of parampara. And Bhishmadev is at the top of the parampara. He's one of the 12 Mahajans. A Mahajan means who is a Mahan Jana. Jana means person and Mahan. Mahajana also means that his heart is so big that all the janas can be accommodated in his heart. He's looking for the welfare of all the janas. And he knows actually what is the welfare of all the janas. Because we may think, I want to help other people. I want to help the most number of people. But I don't have the knowledge or the resources or the consciousness to help all the people. So Mahajana is such a person who has the resources, who has the consciousness, to help all the people, because he is connected to the highest personality, the greatest personality. That's why he's a Mahajan. One cannot become a Mahajan without being fully connected to the supreme person. And that's why Bhishmadev can very confidently say that Eshave Bhagavan Sakshat, this is the Supreme Lord himself. And when such a person introduces us to the Supreme Lord, then one should accept it without any doubt. As Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, we accept the words of the authorities in all walks of our life. So when it comes to God, then we have to find somebody who is an expert uh, follower of God, and then take their word when they say us. A similar conversation happens in Chaitanya Charitamrita between Maharaj Prataprudra and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And King Prataprudra, he takes shelter of his guru Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, because nobody knows Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Lord, but Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya realized that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme. And then he introduced Lord Chaitanya to King Prataprudra and said, this is the Supreme Lord, and you should accept him. And King Prataprudra, without asking any questions, immediately says that whoever you say is the Supreme Lord, I accept that person as the Supreme Lord. And that is the kind of faith that is required. It is not blind faith. It is a faith which is based on factual determination and confirming everything based on the Shastra. And then the words of that person make a full impact. By accepting the words of such a person, we also get the empowerment to realize that statement. So, Eshave Bhagavan Sakshat, when we accept it on the power of such great authority, then hidden within that, by putting our faith, we also get the empowerment to realize this statement. So, this is what Bhishmadev is saying. The second line, Adyo Narayana Human. This is a very significant statement because somebody may have doubt that, oh Bhishmadev, why are you calling Krishna as the Supreme, Bhagavan? Because I have heard that Narayan is the Supreme and Krishna is an expansion of Narayan, and which can be true to a certain extent. But Bhishmadev is settling this debate once and for all by saying this Adyo Narayana Puman. This is one of the rare statements in Bhagavatam where it is directly mentioned that how Narayan is the expansion of Krishna. Adyo Narayana Puman. That Narayan or Krishna is the source. Adya is the source of Narayan. Narayan is the supreme enjoyer, but Krishna is the source of that Narayan. A similar other statement Prabhupada mentions in the prayers of Brahma, 10:14:14, where Brahma says he also realized Krishna as the supreme, and he says, Narayanastam nahi sarvadehinam atma shidha adhikshakila loka shakshi Narayano angam narabhujalayana tachapi satyam nataveva maya. Are you not the original Narayan, O Supreme Controller, since you are the soul of every embodied being and the eternal witness of all created realms? Indeed, Lord Narayan is your expansion, and he is called Narayan because he is the generating source of the primeval water of the universe. He is real, not a product of your illusory Maya. So here also we can see how Brahma is confirming this same statement, that how Krishna is the source of Narayan, not the other way around. So based on these two verses, we can see how these great authorities are establishing the truth for us. So there is no doubt that remains. Adyo Narayana Puman. So if Krishna is the source of Narayan, then he's the source of everything else. Now, the question may come that if Krishna is the supreme and he's the origin of Narayan, But I don't see that. Yudhishthira Maharaj may think, oh, but he's just roaming around in my house. He's roaming around in the in Dwarka amongst the Vrishnis, amongst the residents of Dwarka, just like an ordinary human being. So therefore, Bhismadeva then clarifies that in the last two lines. Mohayan Mayaya Lokam Gudhascharati Vrishnishu. But he is moving amongst the descendants of King Vrishni, just like one of us. And he is bewildering us with his self-created energy. Mohayan Mayaya Lokam. So as Prabhupada explains in the purport, Krishna has two energies. His internal energy, his external energy, and then those two energies act upon the third, which is the marginal energy, which is the living entities like us. So this Mohayan Mayaya acts in two ways. For people who do not have faith in the Supreme, this Maya energy makes people think that Krishna is actually just an ordinary human being. He's just like one of us. And they do not at all understand him to the Supreme Being. This is what happened to personalities like Duryodhan, Karna, all these Kauravas, even Dhritarashtra. They thought that Krishna was just one powerful human being, a very powerful human being, much more powerful than them, but that's it. That was the limit. And even Krishna was moving around. Nobody actually, very few people actually understood and accepted him as a supreme being. So that is one kind of Maya that was acting on living entities. So Mohayan Mayaya Lokam Gudhas. Gudhas means inconceivable, or Gudhas means confidential, secret, or hidden. So Krishna was moving around in a hidden way. Channa. Just Lord Chaitanya is a Channa avatar. So Krishna was also Channa for all these living entities who were not willing to accept. What was their fault? Why were they not able to realize Krishna as the Supreme? Because they did not accept the words of a Mahajan. Like Bhismadeva is saying, Eshabe Bhagavan Sakshat. Everybody who were a devotee like Vidura, Dronacharya, all these great personalities, they accepted the words of Bhismadeva. But people who were not willing to accept the words of the Mahajans, they never realized. And therefore, Mohayan Mayaya, they were covered by this Maya. And Krishna remained a secret for them. Whereas, for people who accepted Krishna to be the Supreme, Krishna puts over another Maya over them, which is his Yoga Maya. So, they realize that Krishna is the Supreme, but they get covered by Krishna's Yoga Maya, and they forget that Krishna is the Supreme. At times they forget Krishna is the Supreme, because that is coming up in the next verse. And in order to facilitate the exchange of highest transcendental rasas, Yoga Maya covers the consciousness of these great devotees, so they are able to relate to Krishna in different relationships, to exchange different rasas. For example, Bhismadeva is exchanging this great rasa of Virya rasa with Krishna. And on the battlefield, then Bhismadeva, although knowing that he is the Supreme, he'll forget by the influence of Yoga Maya, and he will shoot arrows at the Supreme Lord and actually injure him. That is only possible by the influence of Yoga Maya. And Arjuna employing Krishna as his chariot driver, and that is also possible only by the influence of Yoga Maya. So here we can see how this verse is revealing so many truths about Krishna. Prabhupada beautifully presents in his purport about these different energies of Krishna acting upon us. So this is a choice that we can make. What energy of Krishna will act upon me? By, and the catalyst is our acceptance of the words of these great Mahajans. Eshabe Bhagavan Sakshat. And this is the same thing Prabhupada writes in other purports, that when we go to the temple, then it is our consciousness which will decide whether the deity of Krishna is just a statue or just a deity, or actually it is Krishna himself. When Prabhupada would go in front of the deity, for him it was not a deity. For him, it was the Supreme Lord Krishna standing personally. Like in one place, in Melbourne or somewhere in Australia, when he went, I think the deities were woken up a little bit earlier than the normal time. And Prabhupada commented that the deities look very tired today. Krishna looks very tired today. And only he could see that. Nobody else could see that. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to the temple of Jagannath, he would see Krishna there. He would not see the deity of Lord Jagannath there. So this same principle applies to us. When we go in front of the deities, what are we seeing? Are we seeing Bhagavan Sakshat? Or are we seeing a deity that we go and take darshan of? So this is the import of this verse. Krishna, Bhismadeva is introducing the Supreme Lord to the whole world and establishing his truth, tattva, that he's Adyo Narayan Puman. But then how do we not know him? Because we are influenced by his material energy. And how to get out of this material influence of his material energy so that we can recognize him? We have to follow in the footsteps of the great authorities. And that is what Krishna will, Bhishmadev will introduce in the next verse. So where he's saying, Ashanubhavam Bhagavan Veda Guhyatamam Shiva Devarshi Narada Sakshat Bhagavan Kapilo Nripa. O King, Lord Shiva, Narada, the sage amongst the demigods, and Kapila, the incarnation of Godhead, all know very confidentially about his glories through direct contact. So, after reading the first verse, you may see that if he's covered by his Maya, then who knows him? How do I know? Bhishmadev, you are saying that he is Sakshat, Bhagavan Sakshat, but you may be partial. You have a special relationship with Krishna. This is the same thing that happens in the Bhagavad Gita when Arjuna introduces Lord Krishna. In the 10th chapter, he says, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. And then he says that Asito Kapilo Vyasa Swam Cheva Bravishi Me. That Asita Kapila Vyasa. On their words, actually, they are saying that you are the Supreme. Therefore, I am accepting you as the Supreme. Just to dispel the doubt that this is a biased personal statement because I'm your cousin. So same thing, Bhishmadev is actually clarifying for everybody right away that it is just not my personal opinion. It is the opinion, it is a conclusion of all these great souls. And this is again reaffirming the process of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. He's saying Ashanubhavam Bhagavan. Anubhavam. So, just one second. So, Ashanubhavam, Anubhavam. Bhavam means the rasa or the relationship between Krishna and his devotees. Asya means of him. So, it's again pointing out his. There is no indirect reference. And while he is talking to Yudhishthira, actually, he's continuously pointing to Lord Krishna. He's looking at Lord Krishna and pointing to him. Asya Anubhavam. Anubhavam means, Prabhupada has translated that as glories. But Anubhavam also means that it is the deep, confidential exchange of rasa that happens between Krishna and his great devotees. Asyanubhavam Bhagavan. Krishna is Bhagavan because he is the greatest relisher of deep rasa with his devotees. He's not just Bhagavan because he's the greatest, most powerful, most wealthy, most beautiful, most knowledgeable, most renounced. Those are the 6 qualities of being a Bhagavan. Bhaga means opulence, the highest opulence, and Van means the possessor. So Krishna is the possessor of all the 6 opulences. But even more important than possessing the opulence, he is Bhagavan because he is the relisher of the highest bhava. And Anubhavam means most confidential. Guhyatamam, Veda Guhyatamam. So Veda Guhyatamam has two meanings. Means it is even secret to the Vedas. Even the Vedas don't know this Anubhavam of Krishna. The other meaning of this sentence, Veda Guhyatamam, also means that this confidential Anubhavam of Krishna, what he relishes with his devotees, is known to these great personalities like Shiva, Devarishi Narada, Sakshad again, and Bhagavana Kapilo Nripa, Krishna's incarnation, Kapila Rishi. So by mentioning these three, Bhismadeva is actually including all the great Mahajans. These three personalities that are mentioned, they are all Mahajans. So one Mahajan is actually differing to these other Mahajans. So Shiva is a Mahajan, Narada is a Mahajan, and Kapila Muni is also a Mahajan out of the 12 Mahajans. So one Mahajan is referring to another Mahajan. We can see the humility of Bhismadeva in this verse, because normally if somebody becomes a great person, then they like to be known as the concluder of truth, that what I'm saying is the truth. But in spiritual realm, we always follow the great Mahajans. So he's setting the example. Bhismadeva is setting the example that don't take my word for it. It's Lord Shiva, Narada, and Kapila who are saying that Krishna is the supreme. He is the Bhagavan, Ashyanu Bhavam Bhagavan, Veda Guhyatamam Shiva. The other meaning of this Veda Guhyatamam Shiva is that Bhismadeva is telling Maharaj Yudhishthir that the confidential exchanges that Krishna shares with the Pandavas, with you, with Arjuna especially, is even hidden from these great personalities, Veda Guhyatamam Shiva. And therefore, Yudhishthir, you should not lament, because Krishna does not exchange what he exchanged with Yudhishthir, what he exchanged with Arjuna. For example, when Krishna would come to meet them, then Krishna would touch the feet of Yudhishthir Maharaj, and Yudhishthir Maharaj would immediately pick him up and embrace him. Krishna has never done that with Lord Shiva or Narada or Kapila or any of the other Mahajans. Krishna would sit and joke with Arjun while they were having lunch. They will sit on the same bed and they sleep on the same bed. They would joke. They would go out on chariot driving and have so much fun, having pleasure walks. So these exchanges Arjuna remembers in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And he says, "Oh Krishna, I treated you just like an ordinary friend, but you are the supreme Brahman." So these kind of exchanges, they are called Anubhavam. And depending on the relationship with Krishna, those exchanges are revealed to the devotee. So Asyanubhavam Bhagavan. Therefore, Bhishmadev was the observer of these rasas, these relationships that Krishna exchanged with the Pandavas. So he's actually, in this verse, so many things are being unpacked by Bhishmadev. First of all, he's referring to all the other great Mahajans, that we trust the word, establishing our faith in the Guru Parampara and establishing our faith in the Mahajans. Secondly, he's saying that if you want to know about Krishna, who Krishna really is, and what he exchanges with his devotees, you have to go with the Mahajans. You have to learn from the Mahajans. Otherwise, all the imports of the Vedas, they will remain Guhyatamam. The whole Vedas will remain Guhyatamam to you. Third, he's saying that how Krishna is just like a dear person, a dear family member of Pandavas, and they exchange such deep confidential anubhava with him that even great personalities, they appreciate it, but they did not taste that directly with Krishna, sakshat. They did not sakshat relish it themselves. And in the next verse, he's going to reveal what those anubhavams that Krishna exchanged with his devotees. Sorry, I have some cough. So I'll take some reflections and then see if you have time, then we can go forward. Otherwise, we'll do it tomorrow.
Hare Krishna Bhaiya.
Hare Krishna.
Have you opened it for discussion already? Or
Yeah, I'm just saying we can take some reflections, anything that inspired you from these verses, and then if you have time,
So-
you can go.
no, there was a lot of points that were amazing. I really enjoyed hearing the whole discussion and different perspective that you brought out. But I didn't understand one point, that when you said that somebody, and you explained that how people were not able to understand Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead because they did not believe in the words of the Mahajans, right? So that is the reason. And the reason people were able to, anybody who can understand Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead is because they get the empowerment when they believe in the words of the Mahajan, even so the empowerment is inbuilt in it. But before that, you also mentioned one point, which was factual determination. Can you elaborate on that? What does that mean? I didn't understand it properly. It's different from the empowerment, right? The second point that you made. So what is factual determination?
It's what I meant was it is not blind faith. When we accept the words of Mahajan, we don't accept uh, the words of the Mahajan blindly. First of all, um, we factually determine who is a Mahajan, who is not. Like Krishna gives the symptoms of a Mahajan, a self-realized soul, in great detail. So on the basis of those, um, basis of the activities, basis of the words, basis of the achar or behavior of a person, and on the basis of the Shastra, we determine whether a person is Mahajan or not. And after that determination is made, then the words of the Mahajan will indicate what words are coming out of their mouth and whether they match the Shastra or not. So that is a determination we make as a practitioner. So that is a factual determination from our side. And therefore, once that determination is made, then Prabhupada says, then we accept the words of the person without continuously doubting that person. So that's what I meant by factual determination.
Okay, yeah, understood. Yeah. Thank you, Bhaiya. So I think this is basically evaluated faith in one sense, that you have evaluated the Mahajan, that he represents, or he is well positioned as a Mahajan, and then whatever they say, then you start, you, because you have trust in the Mahajan, you believe in the words of the Mahajan. But I was also comparing it that when you start the practice of Krishna consciousness, none, like I did not, I have never, I don't, like my faith in Krishna was because I I was attracted to the devotees, right? So it would not
Yes.
fall exactly in the same category, but there was some attraction. Like at the initially, it's a infatuation kind of a attraction. So whatever they say, you believe in it, and that is why you are introduced to Krishna consciousness. So would that also be comparable to what you are saying? In to not exactly, but to a certain degree.
Yes, because anybody who's connected to a Mahajan, um, they are representing the Mahajan or the words of the Mahajan. So for example, our initial attraction to some devotee who's presenting this philosophy as presented by Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is a Mahajan, and in his words are also words that he has learned from the Mahajans in the past. So our initial attraction is called Ado Shraddha, and which is Ado, which is the beginning. But then as we practice, then we have to also do the factual determination that whatever I'm hearing, is it according to Shastra? Is it in line with the other Mahajans? So that is a determination we have to make. And if you do that, then that faith is as good as our faith in the Mahajans, because there is no personal interpretation there.
Yes, Bhaiya. Now I understand, and thank you so
So
much. It was
the faith is, as you said, is based on evaluation, and it is also an evolving faith. Faith is always evolving, just like love is always evolving. It's never static. So faith is always evolving, and that is the nature of true faith. Faith is challenged and it evolves. It challenges and it evolves, and therefore it is an ongoing process, even in the spiritual world.
So when somebody faces the challenge, that would also constitute like over a period of time, it will improve, the faith will be increased.
How we respond to that challenge.
Okay, yeah.
It will depend on how we respond to that challenge. Thank you. Go ahead, Vishnurata Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for elaborately explaining how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In that regard, someone asked me this question, like, why do Vedas don't mention why? I mean, only Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Why, like, there are some Upanishads which mentions, but specifically, I think the question was like, why Vedas do not mention Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead? In many places, Lord Vishnu is considered as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that is clearly mentioned at multiple places. And I mean, there was one more question was like, Vedas came first before Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So, I mean, Vedas should have higher authority as compared to Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. So, and I wanted to help me understand this answer. How should I answer that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. In transcendental science, first of all, there is no sequence of time that is binding, and the sequence of time doesn't determine what is higher and what is lower. The Vedas, they were revealed to Brahma in the heart of Brahma. Tene Brahma Hidaya Adi Kavaye. When Bhagavatam starts, this is the very first verse, that how Krishna reveals all the knowledge to Brahma in his heart. And Brahma receives the highest knowledge in his heart, including the Bhagavatam, including the Bhagavad Gita. So Vedas don't just mean those 4 books, Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharva. And they are called Vedas, but the Vedas means the sum total of all material and spiritual knowledge. That includes the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. All the Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna to Arjuna, but Krishna says that I have spoken. Imam vivasvati yogam proktavan ham abhyam vivsvan manave praha manurikshvakavya bravit. I have spoken this Bhagavad Gita millions and millions of years ago to Vivaswan, the sun god. So that knowledge, the sun god only came much after the creation. So this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam was revealed to Brahmaji in his heart. And then Brahmaji reveals this Chatushloki Bhagavatam to Narada Muni. So that's in the 2nd canto of Bhagavatam. You will see this conversation between Narada and Brahma. When Narada asked this question, that who is the Supreme? I thought you were the Supreme. Then Brahma reveals that Chatushloki, the 4 essential verses of Bhagavatam, to Narada. So if Brahma did not know, you may say Bhagavatam was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, or by Vyasadeva to Sukadeva Goswami. But no, sequentially, it was spoken by Brahma to Narada long time back. And how did Narada receive it? Because Krishna implanted that knowledge in his heart at the beginning of creation. Tene Brahma Hidaya Adi Kavai. So what determines which is the greatest is not the sequence of time as we see it. We have a very limited picture of what we see in space and time. But these great personalities and this great knowledge is is already pre-existing. Like Lord Krishna, some people say, oh, Vishnu came first and then Krishna appeared. Lord Ramchandra came first. So whoever came first is the supreme. If that is the logic, then Brahma came first, right? And then Lord Krishna came. So Brahma should be supreme. So this logic doesn't work. Um, uh, Prabhupada gives the example that um, like in a prison house, there is a superintendent and the president walks in. And somebody say the the manager of the prison, he came first. So he should be the supreme. So the influence of time doesn't determine who is supreme or who is superior. Uh, so therefore, the Vedas, first of all, includes everything, all the knowledge. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, they're all part of the Vedas. But uh, the highest knowledge is spoken by Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita, in the form of Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavatam, all the Vedas, all the Upanishads, all the Puranas themselves, they point to Bhagavatam as the highest source of all knowledge. So then you have to go to the books themselves. Now, your second question, why Vishnu is mentioned and Krishna is not mentioned so much in the Vedas? Again, Guhyatamam, because knowledge of Krishna is very Guhyam. Not everybody can digest knowledge about Krishna. Upanishads, they indirectly refer to him in limited places, because the purpose of the Vedas, the Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva, every scripture has a purpose. So the purpose of those Vedas is to gradually bring a living entity who is very conditioned and materially motivated to the point of devotional service. Krishna is all about devotional service. So devotional service is not fully revealed in the Vedas or Upanishads. So therefore, Krishna is not fully introduced there. Because this is great anubhavam. That's why he says, Ashanubhavam, Veda Guhyatamam Shiva. So if somebody has a digestive capacity of orange juice after recovering from a great disease, and you give them malpua and kheer and heavy parathas, they will fall sick immediately. They won't be able to digest. So even when Krishna came, people were not able to digest that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was right there in front of everybody. People could not digest it. So what to speak of introducing Krishna full blown in Vedas and Upanishads, people will just get bewildered. He says, what is this absolute truth? I can't relate with this absolute truth. So Krishna has to be introduced very gradually. And that's what is done in our scriptures, because he's the most confidential. Even people who are accustomed to knowledge about Lord Narayan and Vaikuntha, they cannot digest Krishna's pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan, because they have a certain conception of God, who is the supreme, who is the controller. They cannot see God, accept God as somebody who is having a fun time and exchanging this. People have a very tough time even with Lord Ramchandra. When Sita Devi is lost and Lord Ramchandra is wandering from forest to forest, crying out for her Sita Devi, people still have a very hard time. How can God be crying out? Even Lord Shiva and Parvati even Parvati gets bewildered. What kind of God is this? He's just crying out for his wife in the forest. I don't think that fits my conception of God. When Lord Krishna is eating, um, uh, 5-year-old Krishna, when he's eating from when his cowherd boyfriends, and Krishna will put his hand in the mouth of one of his cowherd boyfriends and take out the food from their mouth and then eat it. When Brahma sees that, he just goes, his forehead starts spinning. He said, what kind of God is this? I cannot accept him as God. And that's when he tries to steal the cowherd boys, just to test whether he actually is God or not. So this is the reason why Krishna is very secret in the Vedas, his pastimes. And even more secret is Krishna's relationship with the gopis and especially with Radha. And therefore, even Radha is completely secret in the Srimad Bhagavatam. She is not revealed. It's only Lord Chaitanya who comes later on and then reveals the glories of Sri Radha by his teachings to Rupa and Sanatana and six Goswamis. So things are revealed according to the capacity of the audience. And that is the right way.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much. That really helps. I mean, it's thinking in my head, but sometimes it's very difficult to convince other people, and I generally stay backed out in that situation because I mean sometimes it's like argumentative kind of an attitude. So, but yeah, I mean
Yeah, the
at least
best
for
is not to get into those arguments, and because they already have a preconceived notion and they are not willing to accept the words of the Mahajans as coming in the scriptures. So, best is to hear them out and present a little bit and then let it go. Because you cannot convince. Nobody could convince Dhritarashtra, nobody could convince Duryodhan, nobody could convince Karna, any of these personalities that Krishna is the supreme. So who are we to convince anybody?
yes, so thank you.
Anybody else?
Prabhu, if there's no one, then I'd like to add one point. But yeah.
Yeah, let's hear if somebody else wants to say anything. Bhaktilata, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class, wonderful explanation of these two verses. I really like the point that you said, like how faith in the Mahajan will there is the empowerment there, and then and the discussion around that, like how to get that faith, like there we have that kind of a uh, like relationship with the Mahajan or persons representing the Mahajan. So
Hmm.
so we have to first, as Radhika also was saying, like we have to first establish that, like, you know, through their behavior, like how they carry about, like what faith they have. So with that, like we just go and then we after we start trusting their words, because of their faith, like we get our faith, like our faith is implanted in my heart. So that discussion I really liked. And also the answer to Vishnutha Prabhu's question, like how you said that, like there are different uh, uh, text for different audience. So
Mm.
somehow the Vedas are so famous, and you know, and I was so that's why, you know, people always think, oh, whatever Vedas say, you know, we have to accept that. But then because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like so much is revealed gradually, right? Like in
Mm.
Bhagavatam, and then you also said like Radharani is so hidden, and because of Mahaprabhu's teaching, we know all these, and all the Acharya and Mahaprabhu's um, his disciples, whoever, like from through them, like their writings, like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami,
Yes.
through their writings, through their teachings, everything is revealed. So somehow I'm here studying those texts. So thank you so much for the
Thank you,
class.
Bhaktilata. Thank you for your reflection. Yes, go ahead, Radhika.
So, Prabhu, to the answer that you gave to Vishnu Ratha Prabhu, that like according to the consciousness of a person, things are revealed to them, and we've also seen that how Christianity and um, uh, like Muslim religion, that was because they were all tribal people at that time. So I was thinking that, and like when people, as Vishnu Ratha Prabhu is also facing that challenge, that it is hard to convince people that how Krishna is not the incarnation versus Vishnu is the incarnation. So does that mean that, like you were also saying, we should not spend time with them, right? Like unnecessarily, because people were not able to accept Krishna also. When Krishna himself is saying, then also they're not accepting. So does it also mean that we should not, the consciousness of these people are also, they need something else other than this, and they should be given something else, or like because their consciousness is not at this point right now that they'll be able to accept Krishna, right? So
Yeah, I think the best way to um, uh, help connect such people is through uh, kindness through our own personal behavior of kindness and friendship, and Krishna Prasad, Krishna's Prasadam. Those are because Krishna's Prasad is not different from him. So finding other ways to, some people accept, some people, they have a little bit of a resistance in their heart, honoring the resistance. I think that the mistake sometimes we make is we fight that resistance. We try to dismantle the resistance that the soul has towards Krishna. And as Vaisheshika Prabhu many times says, what you resist persists. So when we resist something, then it will grow bigger. So accepting their resistance and honoring that resistance in their heart. When people see that, then they open up a little bit. So gently dealing with them, not trying to convince or argue, and through prasad and through friendly, kind behavior, there's a good chance they will open up to that reality.
And it is not our task to introduce them to any demigod or anything. It is like they'll find themselves. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Thank you for the wonderful class and the discussion. I have a very fundamental question, Prabhu.
Yes.
So when we I mean, I'm contemplating from past few days on not on the devotees mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but the other personalities who have been mentioned very thoroughly, and their qualities and their activities and why they end up in such a demonic mindset, and thinking like why they were mentioned, and trying to see, they're not external person, but you see those in those reflections in your own life, in your own behavior. So when what we were reading today, and it was when a Mahabhagavata is saying that who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we are hearing this so many times in so many purports and so many verses in so many lectures in so many talks. Like what we should, even Krishna says, like comes and says himself, like, okay, I am the Supreme Personality, and what you should do and what you shouldn't. After hearing all of that so many times, we still we know, we understand, but we never acknowledge. I mean, I cannot be I don't acknowledge that doesn't go in the heart, that stays at the mind level. But when things around us, someone even pass a loose statement, or someone says something about someone, those things penetrates to your heart directly, even it's being said once. It's so I'm facing this fundamental challenge, like why I'm not able to accept things which are favorable to me, which are favorable to everyone, which are favorable to me, which has been said so many times, read so many times, with examples, with stories, with so many things. But why doesn't it go to the heart? But the other things goes to heart straight away.
Thank you, Sen. That's a very wonderful question. Thank you, Amobiyar. Yes, this is what conditioning is. Conditioning means things which are on the platform of false ego, they immediately impact us, as you're saying. And things which are really good for us, which are beneficial for us, we don't accept them because we have this whole big layer of our material mind and false ego blocking it. It's not entering our heart. And this is precisely what growing in bhakti means, is to, through the process of chanting, through the process of hearing, we are gradually opening our heart so these words can be fully implanted in our heart. These statements of the great acharyas can be fully implanted in our heart. We have been Anadi Kale Bahirmukha Hoya. We have been we have switched ourselves off from Krishna for such a long time that this is not easy for us to understand and realize. And that's why Prabhupada, in his purport, again and again and again and again, so much repetition that we are not this body, we are a soul. He starts out from this basic repetition. Even after hearing that for so many times, we don't realize it because it is a gradual process. It's not going to happen overnight. It may take some lifetimes also to fully realize that I'm not this body, I am this soul. Now, what to speak of realizing that, oh, this is Krishna and he's the Supreme Personality. We understand this theoretically, but we don't realize it. So that is all good. There's nothing wrong with us in the sense that Krishna also understands this, that this is going to take some time. This unwinding has to take some time. This erasing has to take some time. But the assurance is also given in Bhagavatam that just by continuously hearing Bhagavatam, by serving great souls, very quickly, all this contamination will go away from our heart and we'll be able to realize Krishna very soon. So this very soon is actually very soon compared to how many millions of lifetimes we have spent. 1 lifetime, 2 lifetime, 5 lifetime, 10 lifetimes is nothing. It's very soon. Sadhya is like it's said Sadhya, Ashu. So many words are used in Sanskrit. Very quickly, very quickly. Krishna is assuring very quickly you will realize me. So a part of bhakti is to be introspective as you are doing, being introspective, and also be patient with ourselves, patient with the process of bhakti. Because when we are not patient, I'm not saying that you're not patient. I'm saying that when I'm not patient, then we may start doubting the process of bhakti, or we may start doubting devotees. We may see so many things going up and down, even devotees not behaving in the most ideal manner. And we see in Bhagavatam also so many stories of devotees falling down and going up and down. So we have to understand, be introspective, be compassionate with others and with ourselves. And gradually this realization it is sinking day by day. Just trust me, every day when we chant Krishna's names, every day we take Krishna's prasadam, that realization is a little bit deeper than yesterday. And that's why we are able to continue this process. We won't be able to continue if we did not have that realization more and more every day. So this is the process: Adu Shraddha, Bhajana Kriya, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivriti. We are in the stage of Anartha Nivriti right now. I am in the stage where all these other impurities are blocking, but that will go away in due course of time. So just keep doing what you're doing and then keep introspecting and correcting and adjusting. It is expected. It is nothing unexpected. What you are describing is expected. This is the doctors has said that, okay, this is how your prognosis is. This is how you will recover. So this is the process of that recovery.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Amrita, do you have any reflections?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for a very inspiring class. I was especially thinking about what you said about when we go to the temple and we are in front of the deities, what are we seeing? Are we able to, just see them as deities or actually see Krishna? And the example you gave of Prabhupada, that how he was able to see them because, he is a Mahajan. And, when we are hearing from him, we can also, realize Krishna. So I was just thinking that, that is such a beautiful thing to remember, that, it is the way we are able to see Krishna. It's, that changes over the process of hearing. And, this whole process of purification, we just have to have faith and, like you said, be patient, that it is, it will, this transformation will take place. And I think overall, I was just thinking that, everything is or being orchestrated by Krishna at the end of the day. If we can at least put faith in that, then we know that, we don't have to worry about anything. And that is what we see, that Bhishmadev has that firm faith, that, and that is why he's able to explain that to Maharaj Yudhishthir. So yeah, I was just thinking about that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Amrita. That is such a nice reflection, and that triggered another thought in me, that that why just limit our vision to when we go in front of the deity that this is Krishna? Actually, everything in this material world is non-different from Krishna in that sense. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that I am pervading everything. And later on, Bhishmadev will say, Na Advayasya, which means that Krishna is non-different from everything that is existing. So whatever we see around us, actually that is also Krishna, because it is his energy. So we don't have to limit ourselves to just going in front of the deity in the temple or in our home altar. We can gradually start to see Krishna in everything around us. That is the vision of a devotee. So thank you all very much. I think we went well over time, and we'll end it here. We'll again continue tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you.